G'day everyone and welcome here to Action Indoor Sports Wynnum, where we're filming the next episode of PSC TV. Remember, keep engaged on social media. We're getting fantastic feedback from everyone so far. Keep liking, sharing, tagging, doing all those sort of things that you can. This week we have a very special guest, Meagan Dixon, who's done everything in the game of indoor cricket and also a Queensland Fire player. This week we're really focusing on bowling. G'day Meagan, this is Meagan Dixon joining us here today on PSC TV. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
That's all right. Obviously you're an elite player of both the indoor and outdoor format of the game too, so it's a very unique situation. I think that's something we'd love to have a chat to you about today.
Yeah, cool. I'm not sure about the elite part, but I try and give my best with both.
Yeah, certainly. So I guess first of all, how did you get involved in cricket?
Lived in Mount Isa for a little bit and was playing softball for all growing up, and then moved to Townsville and sort of missed all the other sign-ons for all the other sports. And one of my mates played indoor cricket, and he said to me, do you want to come down and play? Because obviously you can join all year round for indoor. I was like, oh yeah, sure thing, I'll give it a crack, because otherwise I had to wait, 6 months until the next sign-on started. And yeah, just loved it since then. I played every week, haven't really stopped.
And how old were you when you started playing?
I think I was about 9.
Yep. Grade
3, so I don't know.
Yep, be about that, yeah, definitely. And what was the transition from indoor to outdoor? At what stage did you start doing that?
It was actually a guy, Peter Fry in Townsville. He got me, so we went down to Brisbane for all the indoor trials, and he was like, oh, the outdoor camps have invited a few indoor girls to come along and try out if you want to try for the under 18 Queensland side. And I was like, oh, well, a little bit out of my depth, but I'll give it a crack. Yep. Went there, I loved it, played, I got selected in that side, and I was like, okay, well now I actually have to get my butt into gear and start playing. So, and then just sort of loved it since then. Played since then.
So with the outdoor cricket, you pretty much made a state team straight away, and before you actually played any club cricket, or had you done any training or anything like that?
A little bit. I went down to the nets and just had a bit of a bowl and a bit of a hit. More so a bowl, because I didn't really like the wearing the helmet, the pads, all of that sort of stuff. So I was like, I'll just bowl in here. Never really played all that much. Played a couple of junior games, but that was about it. And
so you recently moved down to the big city of Brisbane. What made you make that move?
I think it was a bit of opportunity for both sport. Obviously indoor is a lot better facilities down here and a lot more women's cricket down here. So uni as well, a lot more opportunities with uni, and just for a different, just a bit of a difference.
So with your outdoor, you play club cricket. Who do you play for?
I play for Western Suburbs.
And you had a pretty successful year last year.
Yeah, we won the T20 comp, which was pretty exciting. And then we got knocked out in the semi-finals for the one-day competition, which wasn't all that great, but the semi-final was a cracker of a game. So it was sort of that, if you wanted to go out on it, it was a game to lose.
And in the last couple of years, you've been a part of the Fire squad. So how did that come about?
Well, the first season that I moved down to Brizzy, I started playing for West, and then didn't really think much of it. Just really enjoyed what I was doing. Really enjoyed being a part of a team, and playing women's cricket as a difference to men's cricket. I don't really know. I got a call from the high performance manager at the time, and they offered me a contract. I was completely out of the blue and absolutely stoked. So yeah. So
obviously female sport and cricket in particular has become a lot more professional, and do you find that in the training that at that level that it's very professional and there's a full process that you go through?
Yeah, 100%. And I think if you look at the Fire squad now, the girls who are in the Australian setup and are the professional full-time players and all of that sort of stuff, you can definitely see the difference between what it's like to train full-time and be there 24/7 compared to the ones who still have to work, still have to juggle uni and all of that sort of stuff. But the training wise, it's so much more intense and there's a lot more to it. You've got a heap of different coaches around. You've got psychs, you've got nutritionists, you've got strength and conditioning coaches who all sort of chip in and have their say. So.
And you've obviously got a couple of sisters that play the game as well, and how do you find playing with them?
Oh look, I absolutely love it there. I think that's one of the reasons why I've probably continued playing indoor for so long, is just because you get to there's that bond that you have with them when they play as well. So any time that I get to play on a court with them, I'll choose that hands down.
Yep.
You know, Sam, who's obviously been a part of the Opens Queensland side and Australian side, you can be like, oh, I remember when this happened, and you can sort of reflect on that. So
Yeah, definitely. And you've encouraged her to play a bit of outdoor recently too.
I did. I'm not sure she loved it as much as what I do, but she played a couple of games. She went all right too. She has no patience with the bat, just wants to score off everything like in indoor. But bowling wise, she sort of sent a few down off her indoor run, and I think surprised a couple of people.
Yeah, certainly.
But with the outdoor ball, so my stock ball's mainly an outswinger, so for most of the over, depending on what format we're playing of the game, whether it's T20 or 50 over. 50 over, I try and bowl, I'll try and set the batter up with my stock ball, and then I might bring in a bit of a variation, depending on what they're struggling with, whether I bring it back into them or sort of a slower ball and try and catch them playing out in front. But I'll just go a normal stock ball for this one. So I'd usually bowl a couple of those stock balls, set them up, and then I might come in with a little bit of a change-up delivery. So if I was going to bowl a slower ball, I've got a couple of different types that I do, but usually my go-to is I'll bowl like a half knuckleball sort of thing. So I'll take one of the fingers back and hold it just with the one finger. I don't have big enough hands that I can take the two fingers back, so I just go the one. Sort of just helps it, makes it float the seams up in that same position, and then just slows it down a little bit. It looks the same. If that's not as effective, I'll try and bring one back in. So I usually hold the seam straight down, but I'll just turn it to the side a little bit, and with my action, rather than following down through the outside path, I'll try and bring it through my ear and then follow down of my, like the right side of my pocket to get it to go in, hopefully. And then the one I've been working on that has been reasonably effective for the outdoor format, I haven't tried it in indoor yet because it's something I've been working on this season, is the out the back of the hand. So trying to bring the wrist around so that the wrist is facing the batter and that the seam comes down with that nice, like straight up and down seam position. Hopefully get a little bit of a movement, a little bit of dip, and just see, it's obviously a slower ball, so it'll come out a little bit slower, but hopefully a little bit deceiving.
You'll see this one better, Stu.
Hopefully I bowl it better as well. Indoor's a little bit similar to the outdoor T20 format. You don't want to continue to bowl like in the same spot every ball, because it does become predictable, and the batters sort of adjust to that and they work out a way around it. So you have to be one step ahead of the batters with indoor, and sort of throw in a few different change-ups, a few different things to try and get them thinking, and you don't want them to be able to know what you're doing. So a few different things that I work with. Obviously my stock ball is still the same, so the outie, run in as hard as I can and just sort of try and put it down. The lines that you're bowling in indoor are a little bit different, so I'm trying to aim for the top of leg stump, so we'll see how it goes.
Good.
I do the same sort of things with indoor. Indoor, I like to use both sides of the wicket a little bit, just because getting that angle to come in at the batter's legs in indoor is a little bit more effective than outdoor, because they can't just run it over for four. But if you can get it to jam them sort of between knee and hip height, that's sort of really effective for the women's game, obviously pending on batters. So I'll go. And then sort of One of the other things I do like to do for indoor is come a little bit wider of the crease and sort of angle it in, create a little bit more of an angle and hopefully change where the ball's coming out from the crease so that it might throw the batters just a little bit and get that edge.
All right, Meg, that was some really insightful information you gave us there, and I think one of the important things that I took out of that is when you're talking about indoor cricket, you're talking about variety, and it's not necessarily variety in what you bowl, but using the width of the crease, coming around the wicket and over the wicket. I think that's a very effective tool to use in indoor cricket and some really good information. Probably one question I'd like to ask is, when obviously playing at that highest level, there's so much research done on the opposition. Is that a very relevant point for the high level of the game?
Yeah, 100%. You know, you have batters who love to get back on their back foot and sort of bang it up on the crease. You have other batters who like to play a little bit flatter. So I think knowing what their strengths are and sort of trying to pinpoint their weaknesses, because, you know, you have a batter who you can bowl it at their legs and they'll just pump you for 2 every day. But there are other batters that if you bowl it at their legs, that's your opportunity to get wickets. So I think knowing that and knowing those different batters and knowing who, you know, slower balls, who goes really hard at the ball, so slower balls will be more effective, all of that sort of thing. So I guess that research before the game and that, you know, talk about the tactical side of the game is really important.
Yeah, exactly. And you make some very good points there. So with bowling at that level, do the coaches give you a lot of that sort of feedback, or is it something that you work on as an individual, or, you know, the leadership group within a team?
I think it's probably a bit of all combined. So I think it's, you know, my game's going to be completely different to, say, Sam, who is a lot taller, comes in and can get that ball to bounce, whereas I can't do that sort of thing. So knowing what my strengths are against different batters and like different teams, I guess, is going to be a lot more it's going to be beneficial for me, and also from the team's point of view. Coaching wise, you know, and leadership wise, we talk about that in our team meetings and we talk about different things, but then I think it's how you then take on that information and put it to practice in games.
Yeah. And I think one thing to take out of it is you're talking about setting up for different batters, talking about the different balls that you can bowl. I've seen so many people, whether at indoor and outdoor, they get to the end of the mark and just obviously don't know what they're doing and just come in and try and bowl fast, or really not thinking about it. I think it's important to go through that thought process, don't you?
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's something that has been drilled into me for the whole of my career, is that when you get to the top of your mark, you need to know what you're going to do, because there's no point, you can't set a field, you can't if you don't know what you're trying to execute, you don't know what you're trying to do. It's all on the batter then, it's not yourself. So yeah, it's something that I've always been told, when you get to the top of your mark, know exactly what you want to bowl. Yeah. If you don't execute it, you don't execute it, but then at least it's something that you can move forward to and trying to get better at that.
And training wise, what do you work on with your bowling and how do you go about that? Is it just bowling a lot of balls, trying a lot of different things, or is there a specific drills, strength exercises that you might do?
I'm not a huge fan of bowling for the sake of bowling. I like to bowl to either targets or have a purpose to my session. So if I'm trying to work on a particular ball, I'll make sure that I set it up that I'll have the fair chunk of my deliveries that I try and work on that, whether it be slower ball, whether it be wide of the crease, just so that when I get into a game scenario, I can back myself to execute that ball. Yep. Training wise, working on a lot of power sort of stuff. So I think that's beneficial for both indoor and outdoor, and a lot of glute strength, all of that sort of stuff to try and make sure that when I do hit the crease, I'm strong enough to hold in that good position and balanced enough to get over the top.
Yep. And so what would be some key points of bowling that, you know, people in PSC TV land should think about when they're bowling, and what process they should go through?
As we spoke about before, just know what you want to try and bowl. Whether you execute or not, doesn't matter. It's just having that thought process, and then at least you can go back and work on that, and it gives you, it's a bit of a learning curve, whereas if you're just bowling for the sake of bowling, it doesn't really, you're not learning anything from that. And I think just backing your skills as well, you know, and backing that the team around you can do their jobs in the field. So yeah, they're probably my key things.
All right, Meagan, that was some really fantastic information on bowling in particular, and I think so many of the people out there have learnt so much from that. So I do really appreciate your time today and coming down here and helping us out. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and I hope someone did take something from that.
Really like to thank Meagan Dixon for coming and joining us today. What a fantastic insight into their approach of bowling and how she goes about her job. Look forward to seeing you on our next episode of PSC TV.